So consider this the end of year video for Spiralvent, and I gotta tell you that in the last 4 years of doing the blog, I've never actually felt the intensity that I was supposed to be feeling from being really involved in something. And I have followers. I have people. I know people follow my blog. I know people that watch my videos and things like that. But I feel the fault is on me in terms of creating engaging content. And I feel that sometimes I get to the point where the content could mean something, but it's kind of like a rehashing or a reinterpretation of a mix of different things. So I put out videos not being all that original, but mainly kind of doing a mashup of different intellectuals and their takes on different subjects, etc., etc. But they have informed my opinion, and I do hold these views legitimately, or maybe not legitimately, but I hold these views genuinely. Let's put it that way, as genuine as any human being can be when you talk about things that matter to the world and life and being human. So atheism is it's very heartfelt, and I don't like saying heartfelt because you don't you don't think with your heart, as any novice atheist would know. You think with your head, blah blah blah. But I think you get what I'm saying. I think there are some things that only certain words can express. So I do feel like atheism was kind of the anchor, and of course most atheists know that when you consider atheism, you're not left with anything really. There's no there's no methodology to atheism. There is you're kind of, what I'm trying to say is, like, when you discover atheism, um, you are kind of left with what now? Like, so what? So what do we do? Like, do we just hang out? You know what I mean? Like, do we just like be atheists and hang out together? Um, like what is there to be done about things? But I found that in reading about atheism, and I always keep saying I should be reading more. Atheism isn't over. I still have lots of books to read. I still have lots of counter arguments to address and think about. But I think in this kind of like haphazard way, I've found this path that kind of looks at, well, religion is so much of a giver of meaning and value to people's lives, but I've found myself looking at, well, what is the meaning and value of life, and that led me to antinatalism, and I don't feel like I've just kind of stumbled upon antinatalism and thinking that it's gonna it just sounds cool or whatever. Although antinatalism does actually present you with some very cool ideas, um, but I do find that I'm examining things beyond atheism, and examining the human life as it is. Like what is value? Like where does it come from? And I've read The Moral Landscape by Sam Harris. I keep saying I have to reread that book, but I just God bless me, I just can't find the I don't want to say time, because I would be lying. I just haven't gotten to that point yet, because I have other issues, and I'm not excusing anything away. I'm just saying I have other issues that kind of get in the way sometimes. And Yeah, so I am looking mainly at the value of life, and trying to discern what it is, like, why are we here, etc., etc. I mean, Sam Harris's latest podcast, most recent podcast, with his guest Donald Hoffman, was kind of really intriguing and insightful, and it really does kind of. I mean, I don't know too much about Donald Hoffman and the details of his work, but I mean, the way the podcast came off was kind of like it's kind of like bait, like like it gives you the idea, because they can only discuss so much in a 2 hour time frame, especially considering the subject matter, right? But so it's kind of like they present you with this idea of not having any real understanding of what life is, even in any respect, um, and just kind of lets you kind of, through their discussion, obviously, but kind of lets you kind of think a little bit about what it is that you're doing. Like, what are we doing as a human race? Like, I don't think we have much control over anything. I don't think we have much say in anything. Um, and I think antinatalism kind of fits perfectly into that whole system. Um, and I think the last video I made, I was going on about Jordan Peterson's hierarchies, and I feel like this is yet another example of where these hierarchies are superfluous to something that is deeper, something that is much more truthful. And you know, Jordan Peterson has his ideas about what the truth is, which I find, say, in the light of Donald Hoffman's understanding of interface theory, are, I don't know too much, so don't quote me on this, but I feel like um, his idea of truth, Jordan Peterson's idea of truth, kind of collapses in the face of interface theory, because I think there's a fundamental mysteriousness to life, to consciousness, which Sam Harris would definitely agree with, that runs deeper than religion or narrative or anything like that. But I feel, I mean, to be fair, I guess maybe Jordan Peterson says things like, well, God doesn't exist, but you have to act like he does. Like, I mean, that's, I don't know, maybe that could be helpful. That could be a very helpful way of living your life. But as Richard Dawkins would say, like, well, yeah, sure. Like, I mean, be religious if you want, but I mean, it depends on what you're after. And like, truth is one of those things that unfortunately goes against the grain of religion. And in this case, goes not even just against the grain of religion, but the grain of reality almost, right? Like, I mean, according to Donald Hoffman, or what we consider reality. So I think antinatalism fits into that whole thing, though there's considerations like free will and the existence slash non-existence kind of problems. Like, where do people come from? Do we have any real control over that? I guess on some level you have some control over bringing new life into the world, etc., etc. So yeah, I believe in all these things. So so let's just end it there. This video is gonna be really rambly, but I'm gonna post it anyway. But we'll end that whole little rambly part of the video there. And I just want to say that in the past year, I've heard lots of different, not lots, but I've heard opinions basically saying that antinatalism is dangerous, antinatalism is depressing, pessimistic obviously, and antinatalism is disgusting. None of these things stand up, I don't think. My mantra is basically that we do antinatalist things all the time. We deny the existence of human beings all the time. Birth control, condoms, contraception, family planning. We just do that all the time. And I think for people who do not subscribe to antinatalism, they come up with these ideas about the value of human life. But you got to think about what you're saying, right? Like, I mean, if you're saying there's an inherent value to human life, it's not distributed quite evenly. Like, it's very uneven, and it's extreme in some cases, right? But if you say you could somehow miraculously come up with the value of human life, how do you enforce that value? How do you enforce? It's like banning cigarette butts on the streets of Toronto, right? Like, I mean, how many police officers are you gonna have to basically make sure that nobody flicks a butt on the street? It's unenforceable. You could miraculously come up with this system of assigning value to every single life, the same value to everyone, no matter economic class, no matter ethnicity or race or gender or anything. Somehow you enforce the value of human life to everybody that's equal. How do you carry that out? Like, how do you carry it out in a way that nobody is ever harmed ever? You can't do it. You can't do it. The nature of human life is suffering. Like, the way we're designed is suffering. And the other option is, which people who don't subscribe to antinatalism would never consider this option. But the other option is, well, they consider it, but only in very in very dumbed down sort of circumstances. So birth control, blah blah blah. But the other option is antinatalism, removing conception, removing life from the equation of suffering. Um, and once you remove life, you remove suffering. So, but the thing is, one's easier to do than the other, and I'll let you guess which one it is. Um, but I don't think in the end any of them will ever triumph over just birthing people, like just having more people and more people and more people. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Bye.